hardworking aspirants, and today we are going to study about later Vedic period. In the last video we studied about the early Vedic period, and today we'll be seeing the era 1000 before common era to 600 before common era. We'll be seeing the classification of Vedas. Along with the Vedas, we'll also be seeing the Varna system. There is a slight change in the Varna system that in the early Vedic period we saw was dependent on the basis of karma, not on the basis of birth. There will be some changes here. We'll also be seeing the change in pottery. Okay, in the later Vedic period, now we have the painted grey ware, not the ochre colored pottery that was in the early Vedic period. But before we start, this is a quick info for all of you guys. For the mentorship program, yes, for UPSC, TSPSC, APPSC, one-on-one live mentorship by Deepika ma'am. This is the opportunity for you to call on the numbers given below and to inquire for it. We are also running batches for TSPSC Group 1, Group 2, and also the batches for UPSC CSC 2026 and 2027. This is the opportunity for you to get the early bird discount. Call on the numbers given below to inquire for more. So let's get started with the later Vedic period, guys, and where we will be seeing some change in the pattern. Just to give you a quick review of what we have already studied. So the basic unit in the early Vedic period that we saw was that a family was known as a kul. Okay, kul or a kula. That was a family. And the head of the family was known as kulapati. Okay, the head of the family is the kulapati. Then the kuls come together and they form what? They form gram. And the head of the gram is known as the gramini. Now the gram come together and they form what? They form bishu. And the head of the bishu is the bisaypati. And sir, do the bishus also combine to form something? Yes, they do. So the bishus combine to form what? Jana. What is this Jana? Basically this Jana was a tribal kingdom. Okay. So the tribal kingdom, also known as the Jana. Who is the head of the Jana? The head of the Jana will be Rajan. Rajan or Rajana, whatever you want to call, Rajan or Rajana will be the head. And also he is known as Gopati. Now interestingly, this Rajan, he is not owning a piece of land. Mostly the kings are owning an area. Here there is no area because these people were nomadic people, semi-nomadic people. They were always on run for the pastoral lands for their cows. So Rajana here or the Gopati here, he has two duties. Number one, as Rajana, he has to secure his own people, and Gopati means he has to secure the cows, because cows at that time were regarded as the wealth. Okay, even more important than land, because these Aryans have not yet settled down, so they are not totally dependent on agriculture. So that is why. So in the later Vedic period, what we'll see that now the Aryans have started to settle down. Now they have started to do the agriculture. Now because of those all the things, there will be some specific changes. Okay. In the last video, we also learnt about the Bharata tribe. Okay, that won the Dasarjana. The Dasarjana was the battle of 10 kings. Okay, where the King Sudas emerged victorious of the Bharata tribe. The Bharata tribe is the same from where the name Bharat comes up. Okay, later on in the later Vedic period, what we find, the Bharata tribe and the Puru tribe have come together and they have formed Kuru. This, if you can see here, the Kuru tribe. This was formed by them coming together, and this somewhere or the other also relates us. If you remember Mahabharata, it took place in Kurukshetra. Okay, and this is also a Kuru. So it gives a bit of a reference. And there was a character named Gandhari also in Mahabharata, if you remember. and the Sakuni, he was also known as to be the Gandhar Naresh. So that Gandhari or Gandhar, which may be somewhere near Afghanistan of today, so we can see that also here. Okay, so that is, along with that we saw many strong other areas also will be seen, the other powerful kingdoms such as the Kurus, the Panchala, the Kosala, the Kasi and the Videha. Okay, so at first we saw the Aryans were living where they were mostly living in the Punjab, the Punjab area. Okay, and after that from Punjab area now slowly and gradually they have started to come to the Gangetic plains. Before, why they have not come to the Gangetic plains and why after now they are coming, there is a reason to it, because before there was no invention of iron. Okay, with the time now you will see there is invention of iron. So with the help of iron they have created tools, and now with the help of those tools they can clear the jungles. Okay, they can clear the forests, and by clearing the forest now from that Punjab area, from that Sindh area, they can travel and come to the Gangetic plains. Okay, so what we see that this area witnessed a shift from semi-nomadic pastoral lifestyle to a settled agrarian society. So now they are a settled agrarian society. They will have the villages obviously, and they will also have the towns, okay, or the nagaras becoming more prominent here. Now how is the society and the caste system? As I said you, there will be some changes. So what is this change in this Varna system? Now the Brahmins, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas and the Sudras are no more a Varna system which is not based on birth. Before we have seen in the early Vedic period that a father can be a Sudra and his son can be a Vaishya and his son can be a Brahmin. But now that will not be there. Rather, this will now be based on what? It will be based on birth. Okay, now you will see that this will be based on birth, and Brahmins and Kshatriyas now will enjoy higher status. Okay, they will say that now we are the highest one in the class, so everyone else should bow down to us, and there will be another conflict between the Brahmins and the Kshatriyas also for the superiority that we have found over here. Yes, that this I have said you already that there is slight change in the caste system now. At first the caste system, here you can see clearly it is written the Varna system was initially not based on birth. People move between Varnas based on their abilities, actions and roles in society, but no more in the later Vedic period. And what about the status of women in early Vedic period? We have already seen that women enjoyed respect and freedom, participated in religious rituals and education. There are examples of Gargi, Lopamudra. Practice of sati, child marriage and parda was absent. It was not happening. But what about the later Vedic period? The status of women declined. Yes, it declined compared to the Rig Vedic period. Women lost political rights such as participation in assemblies. If you remember the Sabha and Samiti, we have already discussed. So now they are not allowed to participate in the assemblies, and their role became more increasingly confined to the household. So they are there to cook and to serve the family members. Child marriage became more common and women were generally viewed as the subordinate to man. Atriya Brahman even described daughters as source of unhappiness. Even in the early Vedic period, if you remember, we studied that women will given respectable position, but people were very happy when there was a birth of a boy. Not happy when the birth of a girl was there, but rather very happy when a boy is born. So we have already seen that however women in royal households sometimes enjoyed better status and privileges. Okay. So that is about only for the royal. But now what was the polity and administration at that time? You will see the political structure. There will be some change now. What change will be there? The tribal chiefdoms and the hereditary monarchies will be there, with kingship becoming more centralized and often justified by religious sanctions will be there. So important kingdoms will include Kuru, Panchala, Kosala, Kasi and Videha that we have seen already. The king was supported by a council of ministers. Before, what was there? Who supported the king? Before, if you remember, Sabha and Samiti was there. Okay, and along with Savan Samiti there was Purohit or the Purohita and Senani, the commander in chief. And we also know that they did not used to keep the army. Here also, now also you will not see that they are keeping the army, but slowly and gradually they are in that contention. Administration included officials such as the Sangrihitri, who collected taxes and tributes. Now agriculture and economy, what about it? So please remember, at that time rice was called as Brihi, wheat was called as Godhuma, and barley was called as Yava. Along with that, sugar cane was called as Iksu. It might be asked, so please remember, and these were the major crops at that time. And also the use of iron, that was known as the Syama or Krishna Ayas. This allowed for forest clearance, and as I have said you, the expansion of cultivable land, especially in Gangetic Basin, was because of the use of iron. It made it very easy for them to clear the forest after forest, jungles after jungles, and to settle down in the Gangetic plain. Now, let's talk a bit about the specialized crafts and occupation that flourished at that time. So including smiths will be there, potters, carpenters, weavers and jewelers, all are there. Pottery type will include painted grey ware. Okay, now there will be a glaze, and there will be this colored potteries. Black and red ware will be there, black slipped ware will be there, and red ware with PWG being distinctive of this area. So sometimes this later Vedic period is also known as the PWG and iron era. Okay, painted grey ware and iron era, because a lot of excavation of this painted grey ware pottery is done. Barter remained the primary mode of exchange, though Niska, what was Niska? A form of gold or silver ornament was used as a unit of value. Niska, again guys, a form of gold or silver ornament that was used as a unit of value. Okay, now here you see the difference between this is early Vedic period ochre colored pottery. You will not see any sort of glaze here, that's the first thing. Secondly, this were mostly not made on the wheels, made by the hands. Okay, but here if you see, you are seeing a glaze. Okay, in this, the painted grey ware. Okay, and these mostly were made on the wheels, the potter's wheel that is there. Okay, so these were some of the very distinctive features, and normally it also has some geometrical figures drawn in it. Now what about the importance of cow? Cow will still be important, but now they will slowly and gradually diminish. They will not be that dominant, because of agriculture will become dominant and land. If agriculture is becoming dominant, so obviously land will be dominant. Cows will be often used for the rituals and offerings. Okay, but the focus now will shift towards what? It will shift towards the land and agriculture practices. Now what about the religion and God? If you remember, in the early Vedic period we have studied that the most mentions 250 times was of Indra, then 200 times of Agni, then we have the mention of Varuna, then you have the mention of the Mitra or the Marut, the sun god. But now slowly and gradually what will happen? We have the mention of Prajapati or the creator, Vishnu or the protector, and Rudra the destroyer. Later on he is identified as Shiva. And these ritual sacrifices will be there, or the yagnas. This will become increasingly, it will elaborate. Okay, and the priesthood will turn into a hereditary profession. So now a Brahmin Purohit's son will become the next Purohit, and his son will become the next Purohit. So that hereditary was done into the priesthood. This is the pic where you can see a yagna is being performed. He, the king, is the Yajman. Okay, and this priest here, these are the Purohits. Here we see this horse. This says that it might have been a Ashwamedh Yagna. Ashwa means horse. So Ashwamedh Yagna, what it was actually? Ashwamedh Yagna means the king would used to set his horse free, and whichever area the horse is traveling from, if someone stops it, he has to fight with the king. If it doesn't stop, it means that he has surrendered to the king. So that was the process of Ashwamedh Yagna. and these people who were invited to the yagna were the Goghnas. Okay, so please remember that. Yes, this is also a peak of yagna being performed, and you will also see the rise of Jainism and Buddhism now. Why? Because there are complexities going into the societies. Now cost of rituals will be very high. They are sacrificing bulls or the animals that are there. Okay, and because of this hierarchy, now based on the birth, that the Brahmins are superior, the Kshatriyas are superior, then comes the Vaishyas, the Sudras are inferior. Because of all these things, you will see the rise of Jainism and Buddhism will be there, where they don't believe in this class and caste system and all those things. And the Upanishad that were composed during this period marked a philosophical turn, questioning ritualism and emphasizing knowledge. Okay, so the Upanishads are also trying to talk about the Gyan or meditation, rather not focusing on the ritual practices. So let's talk a bit about some of the literature. If you remember, early Vedic period, only Rig Veda was compiled. The other Vedas were not compiled. Now you will see Yajur Veda, Sam Veda, Athar Veda to be combined. Yajur Veda had rituals and sacrifices written in it. Sam Veda was a musical composition of Rig Veda. Atharva Veda was the magic or medicine of Atharva Veda. There is a Upaveda known as the Ayurveda, if you might have heard about it. Brahmanas, what is the Brahmanas? The ritual text. Okay, the Aranyakas, these were the forest books, symbolic meanings, philosophical stories, and Upanishad, these were also known as the Vedant or the end of the Vedas. Okay, the philosophical text. We should also remember one thing, that these Vedas were called to be something which was part of Shruti and Smriti. Okay, Shruti, what does Shruti means, guys? Shruti means to hear, okay, to which was heard from somewhere. Okay, and Smriti means to remember what was heard. Okay, so this, the whole yogic system, the whole Vedic system was based on what? It was based on this Shruti and Smriti system, because at that time we have not started to write, we have not started to keep it in the writing, rather it was moreover done by the Guru, remembering something and passing it on to the Shishya. Okay, and so along with that we have seen that there were 18 Puranas, we'll have the Dharma Shastras, we'll have the Itihasas in Ramayana and Mahabharata, the Srimad Bhagavata will be there, then Vedang will be there, like the Vyakaran, Jyotish and all, then Upaveda will be there, like the I've already said you Ayurveda, and then the Samhita, the Brahman, the Aranyaka. So there are different dimensions to all these Vedic literatures or the Vedic Indian scriptures. Okay, classification of Vedas we have already seen. From the Rig Veda, you'll see a set coming out, that's the Atriya Brahman, also sometimes known as Yajur Veda. You'll see the Krishna Yajur Veda and the Sukla Yajur Veda. From the Krishna you'll see the Katha Upanishad or the Taittiriya. From the Sukla Yajur Veda you'll see the Isa Upanishad or the Brihadaranyaka. Then the Sam Veda you'll see the Kes Upanishad or Chandogya Upanishad. Atharva Veda you'll see Prashna, Mandukya and Mundaka Upanishad. Okay, so if you remember, there was a question asked, Satyamev Jayate, from where it has been taken? It was taken from Mandukya Upanishad. Burial practice, what's the burial practice now? Later Vedic period you'll see a decline of elaborate burial practice, rather now what it will be some way or the other more of Brahminical priesthood rituals, okay, that will be used here, and normally it will be emphasized on cremation, as it will be preferred for the funerary rites. Okay, so more of the rituals will be there, and as the Brahmin priest will say, that has to be done. Now see, let's see some of the Rig Vedic name of the modern name and the locations that we are seeing. So Kubha was the Kabul, that's now in Afghanistan. Then we see the Saraswati, that's Ghagar or Hakra, that's in Rajasthan, Haryana now. Sindhu or the Indus in Pakistan today. Bipasa, that is the Bias river in Punjab, India. Then Sutudri or the Satluj river in Punjab. Parusni or the Ravi river in Punjab. Asikni or the Chenab river in Pakistan. And Bitasta or the Jhelum river in the Kashmir, India. So guys, one thing very important, this can be asked for match the following or what were the ancient names, so you should remember this. Let's see the summary table that the key features of the later Vedic period were there. Settlement, now there will be expansion to Gangetic plains. Before they were living in the Punjab plains. Rise of village and towns will be there. Before they were nomadic people. Society, rigid caste system will be there. Emergence of sub-caste and patriarchal family will be there. Before this, patriarchal system was not there. And rigid caste system was also not there. Women, decline in status, loss of political rights, rise of child marriages will be there. We have also seen few instances of sati, and along with that we'll also see that women are now not allowed to participate. Okay, polity, hereditary monarchies will be there, decline of assemblies, rise of powerful kingdoms. We have already seen that. Economy will be now agriculture dominant, iron use will be there, craft specialization, but barter economy will also continue. Cow still valued but less central than before, because now agriculture and land has taken over. Religion, shift to Prajapati, Vishnu, Rudra. Before it was Indra, Agni and Varuna. Literature, Sam, Yajur, Atharva, Brahmanas, Aranyas, Upanishad. Before it was only the Rig Veda. And the burial practice will now be cremation will be preferred. Rituals will be formalized. Let's see some of the questions, guys. Which one of the following four Vedas contain an account of magical charms and spell? So the correct answer will not be the Rig Veda and will not be the Sam Veda. You tell me what's the correct answer between the Yajur Veda and the Athar Veda. Well, the correct answer here will be the Athar Veda, that contains hymns related to magic, charms and spells. Now, the question which was asked in the UPSC, the Dharma and Rita. So, Dharma was a conception of obligation and the discharge of one's duties to oneself and others. This is really correct. Rita was the fundamental moral law governing the functioning of the universe and all things and that begin with it. This is also correct. And if you are wondering where have we studied about Rita, we have discussed it in our class of early Vedic period. So, you can go and watch that if you have not seen it then. So, both 1 and 2 should be the correct answer here, and it is. Now, let's see the next question. Who among the following was Brahmavadini who composed some hymns of the Vedas? The correct answer here is Lopamudra. Okay, she was a Brahmavadini. Which of the following Vedas is considered the root of Indian classical music and dance? Again, guys, if you remember, I said you that Sam Veda was just composed for the lyrical or the melodious representation of Rig Veda. So Sam Veda is the correct answer, and with that we have come to the last question. Which official was responsible for the collection of royal sarin produced during the later Vedic period? And what will be the right answer? Gramini, if you remember, he is the head of the Gram or the Grama. Purohita, he is the priest. Senani, he is the commander-in-chief. So who is left now? We have the Bhagadudha. What is the correct answer? Bhagadudha. So he was the official in charge of collecting the king's share of produce, highlighting the administrative structure of the later Vedic polity. So guys, with that we have come to the end of later Vedic period. We'll meet again for the next chapter. That is, I guess, the Mahajanpadas, and for that you need to subscribe and keep working hard for your success. Thank you.